So, in reading the book called Prosper, there was an interesting. Notice the light stand in the background there. That's supporting the ceiling that's trying to fall in here in my loft. I need to do some repairs here to get that thing in better condition. Um, but in reading the book called Prosper, one of the interesting kind of ideas that came out of that, or that kind of occurred to me, which I don't know if it was explicit by the authors, but it's this idea that, you know, well, first of all, to prosper means to, I think, live a life that is financially sustainable and is meaningful. And so, one of the kind of interesting ideas was if you organize your life around your North Star, if you will, the things that you find to be most meaningful, your highest values, etc., your mission in life, if you will. If you organize your life around that primarily, and then secondarily as to be income producing, so you have, I think, so in that scenario, if your goal is to optimize for meaning versus optimizing for financial accumulation, then any money that you earn, any effort you spend earning money beyond what you need, you could say is wasted, because that effort could be put towards the thing that you find meaningful, towards your primary purpose, instead of being wasted on accumulating more financial resources. So, uh, it's easy to kind of be like, well, more money would always be better. And it seems like rich people actually, a lot of them also have this idea. Supposedly, polls or whatever questions have been posed to people who are considered quite wealthy. And, they estimate that they would require maybe, I think it was like between twice as much or 10 times as much wealth as what they currently had to be happy, something like that. And it's like, okay, you know, um, so part of the author's idea, I think, was that beware of simply having a lifestyle that depletes your financial resources, so that you always are in a mode of like, I need more money. Um, but I think even beyond, like, I think even if you get beyond like the point of living paycheck to paycheck or depleting your money, like if you get to a very financially comfortable spot, I think it's still possible to be kind of still by default sort of financially obsessed and financially like wanting more. Because if your ego, your value as a person is not only tied up in your actual net worth, but it's tied up in your improving net worth, then you're going to always need more in order to feel like you're enough. So whereas if your life is oriented around your true purpose and meaning, and secondarily, assuming that money is not your true purpose and meaning, then and then you can organize your life in such a way that the income you produce, your efforts toward producing income, can be in the proper balance. So it can be, adequate to support your meaning and vision, your purpose, but it doesn't usurp your purpose. Um, I think Melvin Pillay quotes someone who says something along the lines of like, the greatest tragedy in life is being successful at something that you weren't created to do, or that wasn't your purpose. It's like you could do really well financially and not do what you were put on this earth to do. And at the end of your life, have you been successful? Well, to people looking on using worldly standards, yes, you were successful. But if your purpose in life was to reduce homelessness, and what you actually did, you didn't do any of that, and what you actually did was and build an incredibly elaborate estate for you and your family, then you're going to look successful, but your life, I would argue, was not a success because you missed your purpose. Now, do I have a problem with you having an elaborate estate? Not really, not necessarily, but if you missed your purpose, like, that's too bad, you know, because I think that, I guess my underlying assumptions around that are severalfold. One is that the most important thing to do is the thing which God wants you to do, and that's going to be that thing which you were put on this earth to do. So that's the ultimate judge of a successful life, is if at the end of life, or whenever you get the report card, if you will, from God, that it's well done. Well, not just well done, it's also did you know me? In other words, like, how well did you know the Father? How well did you know God? But those kinds of things, those are what I view as sort of the ultimate measure of a life. And so and then secondarily, if you're doing what you're called to do, it may not always be easy, it may not always be fun, but I think it's the chance of it feeling meaningful are much, much higher than just a rabid pursuit of material things. So anyway, those are some of my thoughts on, you could argue that the way a purpose-driven life, the most efficient way to organize it is to have adequate financial income, adequate earning, but beyond that, to focus on your purpose and mission, and not, in other words, to not make too much money really is the way to optimize for purpose. And not because the making of it is bad, it's the effort and the mental bandwidth taken up in either producing it or in stewarding and taking care of it could be a distraction from the thing that you're really meant to do.